This week on Brupeg, Trev gets into tap dancing, Birk short shifts the gearbox, I confidently explain this will be just a 20-minute job, and the Avengers assemble for a corporate photograph.
Taken a sunken fishing trawler and converted her to a community-funded expedition and research boat crewed by volunteers from around the world.
Because life's too short not to fight for your dream.
Because so much happened this week, we're doing 2 episodes. This is the first one, the preparation to get the engine in the boat.
Right, time to get the engine into the engine room. Birk's got some spring washers from over the road. Trev is down here tapping out the bell housing and the flywheel so that we can put our big aluminium drive plate on. We need to undo all the plastic on both the gearbox and the engine, and then we're getting a forklift in about half an hour or so. We're going to start lifting these two together so that we can mount them as one unit to lift in when the crane's here. This is the first time we get to see both the gearbox and the engine with the covers off. So this gearbox is an HC300. It's a replacement for our old HC135. This one is capable of handling 480 horsepower continuous, and it's because it has this massive coupling here which allows it to handle another 40 horsepower over and above normal. This engine, which is affectionately known as the Billy McConnell, when we ran our GoFundMe to get this engine and to basically rebuild a main engine for Brupeg, there was a now Patreon, Ryan McConnell, who donated, and it was in memory of his father, and he said he introduced Brupeg to his dad during COVID in 2020, and his dad got hooked on the series, loved watching it, and sadly passed away. And we've decided that we're naming this engine after his dad in memory of him. So this engine is now known as the Billy McConnell. The way that this engine connects to the gearbox, so you've got your flywheel here, that's the big round disc at the back here, and that spins with the engine. Every revolution of the engine, that does a revolution because it's connected to the crankshaft. This aluminium plate, this bolts onto the flywheel, and you can see those sort of teeth that work their way all the way around that diameter. They lock into the rubber teeth on here. So you can sort of see there's the equivalent shape in that rubber housing all the way around. So that rubber housing acts a bit like, not quite like the clutch, but it acts a bit like a vibration dampener clutch type thing, in that when you put it in gear, the rubber has a little bit of give, and it allows the engine and gearbox to mesh without putting too much load on the mechanical parts inside. It also helps it mesh together quietly. If you didn't have that rubber plate and you just had metal on metal, it'd be a really, really noisy connection. You'd hear everything going through the engine into the gearbox. You'd get a lot of harmonics, that sort of thing. By having that rubber plate and the aluminium housing that it locks into, you end up with a much quieter system overall. As you would imagine, for such a chunky gearbox, it has a pretty substantial gear lever. So first job, we're going to get rid of the air cleaner here. Just a couple of bolts on the top here, and there was a couple of bolts down the bottom there holding it on. We'll take these rubber connections off, and then that'll get rid of that air filter so that we can then put a chain block above the gearbox. I'll show you what we're working with. So it's pretty hot at the moment, so we've got shade cloth up. And when the forklift gets here, we're going to be using a forklift to move everything around, and then we're going to get a chain block and lift the gearbox so that we have really fine control so that we can put it up against the engine in the right position. That's just using an appropriate size spanner to undo these bolts.
Because everything needs to mate up really nice and clean, we're going through with a wire wheel on a grinder and just buffing off any sort of dirt and rust and rubbish that may still be on the flywheel and on the bolting surfaces, the mating surfaces. So it doesn't take any metal off, it just basically makes sure it's clean enough to be able to bolt together and be a really good fit.
So really important whenever you've got your turbo open like this, you want to put something in it.
Whatever goes in there goes into the engine.
I'll just hang this there just so that we can line up the others easy.
Yep.
Okay, so that's... Oh, it didn't fit! Oh no!
What's going on? Hang on, they must only go a certain way, because it's not lining up with anything. I'll roll it around. I'll just roll it around. Yep, that's lining up. That's lining up. That one's going in clean.
Right. I'll do.
There we go. Right. So let's start Loctiting them.
I these will be 13, 16.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, comes that quick.
We're not going to get us. Stop. How are you going to get something in there to tighten it?
Bloody Nora. Is that the 3/4, Joby?
You have to have Allen key.
So here's something we didn't expect. The nice high tensile bolts that we bought to bolt the aluminium drive plate onto the flywheel, they don't actually fit. They fit, but they don't. So inside the drive plate, you've got this machined recess. When you put the bolt in there, it fits in there beautifully. Look at that, lovely, lovely. You just can't get a socket onto it. So our solution, we're gonna go back to town. We're gonna swap these guys over for ones that have Allen key heads. We need to get this up to 75 foot-pound, so we have to be able to get our torque wrench on, and that's our solution to solve that problem.
We figured that we'd come up against a few little challenges today, so we've given ourselves plenty of time. We're just planning to go into town. It's been an amazing year or so. A lot of things we've had to deal with, a lot of things to overcome to get here. A lot of things in the background we don't share online, but we're here. It's amazing to be able to share this with everyone.
Alright, as often happens on Brupeg, change of plan. So, tarp's now been pulled down. Trev's moving his truck. Jess has moved our ute. The forklift was going to be here with a jib so that we can do fine tuning with the chain block so that we can, get the gearbox in position, but that's no longer happening because it's 11 now on a Friday, and the workers of the yard close down and go home at 12:30 on a Friday. So we have to figure out a different way of doing it. What we're going to do, move the engine with a forklift slightly off to this side over here, get the gearbox and stick it behind it, but you see we've got our crane hook just dangling down. We're going to position the gearbox pretty much bang under that so that we can then do our own fine tuning. Yeah.
I need your water again. Put the fingers on the rope. Keep going in, you're right. You're clear. Keep going in, keep going in. Come my way about that far. Come this way about that far. Kiwi, go down there. You did it on the fork. Yeah, me? Yeah, go there. Just go there. See how we go. Just have to be careful we don't get too enthusiastic near there. What? Is that the 1 ton? Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we could run with that.
Just put it down. Oh, actually, just swing it back. Oh, yeah, pop it in there. So lo and behold, another change. We just measured up the gearbox and the engine beds and everything. The gearbox is the right one for the engine, the propeller and the reduction and everything like that. So that's not a variable that we can change. The boat is, however. This gearbox does not fit in between our 2 engine beds. So we're gonna have to modify that. It fits in the hull, but the engine beds come in slightly, so we're actually going to cut the beds off and move them out so that we can drop the gearbox down into the hole, and then we'll weld the boat back into the gearbox, if that makes sense. But what this does mean is I don't have to go and fabricate entirely new engine mounts. I'm fabricating a new engine bed, not an engine mount. So we'll use the original mounts off the gearbox and we'll make the boat fit the gearbox. On this aluminium part, the rubber teeth that sort of fit into all of these machine parts here, they're very, very tight. There's not a lot of room, wiggle room or room for error or anything like that. So, and we don't want to pinch that rubber either. So these bolts that Trev's putting in right now, they're just getting nipped up, basically dry. There's no Loctite or grease or anything like that in them. We've acetoned all of these bolts and we're putting a permanent thread locker on these here. Last one up there somewhere.
We're using a permanent thread lock on these bolts because we want them to be nice and tight, but we really don't want them to come undone unless we're doing it. We also are using threaded rod at the top here as a temporary aligning tool so that we can help get the gearbox onto the bell housing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
Get the card?
Very close. Rock it back and forth. I'll get it straight on there.
Went straight in.
Yeah, it bloody went straight in.
I told you the screwdrivers would
We
do it.
missed the moment.
Yeah, you did. We'll do it again.
Pretend it didn't happen
Yeah.
and we do it.
Alright, here we go.
There we go. Oh, will it work? Oh.
Oh, bloody won't work now. There we go. Look at that, down slightly. I'll just jiggle you.
It's the tootsies.
Yeah, watch your feet there, Trev.
Got to come down a little bit more.
It's got to be pretty close there, isn't it?
That's pretty close there. It's working.
We in?
Yeah.
Can you get down a touch more?
I'll just start up a couple of bolts.
Alright. We can nip these up and then just sort of let it hang and it'll pull the bottom in.
Feels like I'm getting anything here. It feels like we need to rotate a bit.
Okay.
I assume we could go 90, couldn't we?
Yeah, I think we can easily go. Yeah, go 90.
Clean?
Fit nicely.
Copper? Please, thank you.
Well, maybe there's one over there somewhere.
You know, let the bottom ones out though. There was one bottom one out on this side.
Yeah, and I got one out on this side. So we should have two spare bolts though. We've got one spare.
Oh, no, there's another spare here.
Oh, okay.
I'll keep in it just in case.
Oh, yep, sweet as.
When we fit this engine and gearbox into Brupeg, if we put the very two bottom bolts into the gearbox and bell housing, we can't physically get to them when the engine and gearbox is in the boat, sitting inside the engine beds. So we need to leave those two out so that we can always strip the engine from the gearbox at a later date if we ever need to.
This is the reason. This is the way.
Yeah. Here it comes. Is that the poor man's drone shot?
I saw the a seat.
I thought I'd join you.
Oh, lovely.
How you doing, alright? Yeah. There you go, we're going to watch these people.
That's
working,
right, we're
aren't we?
observers.
Yeah, why? Look at him, lazy bugger, he's just filming.
I've done,
Not
done that
everyone
one.
wants
I've
to
done
do
that one.
It's good that it's not.
So we actually got it done today.
Yeah.
Shush. Have you got the app on your phone where you can take a photo of something and it gives you the sizes,
No,
dimensions?
no, I haven't.
I was going to take a picture of the drive shaft there.
Yeah, I've got an analog version, a tape measure.
Oh, you got a plastic rule?
Yeah. Is it the same place that manufactured your vernier calipers?
Probably.
Yeah. So we've got a variance of 1 inch.
You can make it any size you want.
Yeah, with those verniers, yeah, definitely, yeah.
That's not really tuning.
Right, I might go and dump some fresh water over it now.
Now that Duncan has arrived, the Avengers have assembled and we can start to cut the soft spot in the roof, designed so we can drop the new engine into the engine bay below deck.
I took a stroll downtown this evening when I heard music echo through the night. The same old songs that I heard the night before. So I started running so I wouldn't be too late. I didn't think that I would ever see your face again, but I was wrong. Yeah, I was wrong.
It's alright, camera's fine, it survived.
You got it.
That was blasting through the night. And on the street the crowd was jumping, singing songs and dancing through the night.
Oh, there you go, camera. Camera down.
In order to take this roof panel off, this is the soft spot that we need to cut out of the roof to lower the engine down through the roof, through the lounge saloon floor and into the engine room. We need to take these two panels off at the front. So you can see the mount, it's just here. The cut that we need to make is about here. So it's way in, it's in the road of these mounts. Something that we didn't know, but anyway, these are all coming off because we have new panels to go on shortly. So the plan is to basically undo this front pier, get rid of those and cut the mounts off at the same time. And then we can start marking out and cutting this roof soft spot. Been involving a lot of supervisory roles.
That's management material, man.
Got slide cutters ready to go when you are, fellas.
Yep.
We are on school number 1.
Yep. Yeah. Completely the wrong tool, but I'm ready to go.
While you're waiting, you can get our annual performance reviews ready.
That one. And then you've got, is there 11 mil in there? So in the inside, we need to figure out where we're going to cut. So we want to leave like a 1 inch rim all the way around. You can see on the inside here, I've marked that out. I'm going to use a 5-inch disc and do a uniform radius in each corner. And then to transfer, so yeah, we'll put the disc up like so, mark it out. And then to transfer where this mark is up to the top, we're just going to drill through at the intersection. So if you imagine the radius comes in here, where it meets this line, we'll drill there. Where it meets this line, we'll drill there. And we'll do that in every corner. And then we can run a string line between them, get our line up on the other side of the roof, and then we can cut from the other side and know that we're going to pretty much hit this mark on the inside. Now that the corners are drilled, I'll go up top, I'll mark them with the 1mm disc. It's time to start plasma cutting these corners out. Ready to go? Okay. Ready to go?
Like that, or whatever.
Yeah, you can probably go a bit more to your right. Enough that, you know, we sort of stop the cut at halfway.
Yeah.
So there's one half and then we do the other half.
Yeah.
And to lay this out, we'll measure that one out.
You need to flip it over first.
Yeah.
So like that.
I think it's fine.
Yeah.
But if you like it, let it sag. You don't want it to talk.
Yeah, sag
too
fine.
easy.
Actually, you know what we could do? Is
Yeah.
just magnet it up to that, and then we can work our way around the taping.
Yeah.
Yep, that should work.
We won't.
Yeah, I've got a feeling the small ones are stronger than the big ones.
Yeah.
It's fine, that one.
Yeah. Now that the roof's taped, we've got a pretty good chance of having not a lot of rubbish come through from when we cut into this roof and getting it down into the saloon area. So the plan is to jump up onto the roof with the 9-inch grinder. We're going to start working our way around that roof. We're going to cut one side, then cut the other side and leave a strip in the middle still attached. Put a couple of planks of wood under either side and then cut that middle bit so that it won't fall down into this area. Slide that sheet of steel forward and then we're pretty much ready to start having that engine lift in.
Okay. That's it. Marked up.
If you're worried about the solar panels behind where Damien's cutting, don't. They're all not usable anymore. We got them years ago, really cheap. They were off a house. They were recycled at that point. Now they're just not usable, so they'll be going to the recyclers.
So I've cut it most of the way. So we've left about a foot either side in the middle, and then I left a couple of tags on either end just so that it wouldn't drop down. What the plan is now is to slide these pieces of timber that Duncan was manoeuvring around. We've got a screwdriver, we're going to just lift it up, put those under, do that at both ends, and then we're going to cut the middle so that the steel itself doesn't drop through onto that plastic. And then we're just going to slide it straight forward. It's not a huge piece of steel. We're just going to slide it straight up the front there, clean off that area and stick it behind the air conditioners. And that's going to be enough for now. We'll leave it there. We'll tape this area somehow because we have to waterproof it, and it's raining like crazy. And we got rain for the next 2 days, so it's possibly pissing with rain while we're putting the engine in as well, which is going to be awesome. But you know, whatever, press on. That's under, we can drag it from there.
Now we just need that bit down there.
Yeah. Okay, just work your screwdriver along. Okay. Can you put your boot? Yeah, you got it?
Yes, it's there.
Yeah, we're in.
Crashing, right?
Yep, it is. Alright, top, should be good. Okay. Turns out there's a small leak happening. Also, flying a drone in the rain ends up with the heat gun coming out and trying to save parts.
We're doing 2 episodes this week, so here's a sneak peek of what's coming up in a few days' time.